killed everyone on the roster. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants.
So I finally sat down and I watched episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, episode 4, episode 5, and episode 6 of Star Wars. And this is coming from someone who has never been a fan of Star Wars. Do I know Star Wars? Of course. Do I recognize a lot of their iconic characters? Of course. Do I recognize the lore, the storylines? Of course. But I've never sat down and actually watched their films until now. Let's get into the video. What is up, guys? It's your boy Hercules, and we are back at it again. We are talking about Star Wars. We are talking about Star Wars as a casual fan. Now, I follow a lot of people. I watch a lot of people on YouTube, Rumble, wherever, right? And a lot of the people that I watch are big fans of Star Wars, Star Trek, and many, many, many more stuff. But Star Wars has always been something that I've just never seen. I guess you can say I've never seen the stuff that why a lot of people fell in love with. Now, I can understand why a lot of people love Star Wars, they're into it and everything, but for some reason it just never connected with me. Now, maybe I just grew up a little bit different. Maybe I was maybe into something other stuff. I was maybe into wrestling, maybe into some comic books and stuff like that. So I don't know exactly why Star Wars never connected with me, but I understand why a lot of people find the enjoyment of Star Wars. But recently I decided, you know what? I gotta watch them. I gotta sit down, I gotta watch them, and I gotta be honest to myself. Then I decided, you know what? After I'm done watching them, I gotta rank them. I gotta give you my top, top 6, I guess you can say, because there's no way I'm gonna watch the sequels. The sequels, even though I've never sat down and actually watched them, I've seen the trailers, I've seen everybody talk about them, and they just completely do not interest me. The other ones, the original ones, the prequels, I've actually wanted to sit down and watch them. I just never had the time. And yeah, maybe you can say, well, you can always make time, right? That's true. But at the end of the day, I finally decided to sit down and watch it. And boy, oh boy. At the beginning, it's very hard because the way I watched these films was a little different. You're supposed to start with A New Hope. But I am someone that there is one character that I really, really like in the lore of Star Wars. And you can probably guess it. No, it's not Luke Skywalker. It's not Yoda. It's actually Darth Vader. I am someone that I enjoy the good heroes. But if you are able to make an iconic villain where he goes from his ups and his downs, I'll get very intrigued. And when we started watching Star Wars, like I said, I started with episode 1. Episode 1 is not a bad film, but it's not a great film. If this is the route that George Lucas would have taken it, where he started with actual episode 1, I don't know if Star Wars would have been at the level that it is right now. Would it have gotten there after those episodes, after actually getting into episode 4, 5, and 6? Potentially. But episode 4 was just phenomenal. The way he introduced that lore, that world, everything about it was phenomenal. And then don't get me started with Empire Strikes Back, because that is something of a masterpiece. But back to episode 1. Like I said, I don't think it's a bad film. I just think there's a lot of things in it that could have been done better. The CGI could have been done better. The character Jar Jar Binks, is it Jar Jar Binks? Could have been better. I did find him very annoying. I thought Liam Neeson could have been better. He was great, but they could have given him more to do. And Obi-Wan Kenobi was fine for what he was supposed to be. Because at the end of the film, that's when he becomes the master, right? When we get to episode 2 is a little bit better than episode 1. It's still not great, but you get a lot of the lore of Anakin Skywalker in the path that he's taken, where he's not really the good guy. He's more in the middle. He's leaning good, and sometimes he's leaning bad. And in this film, we see something that I felt like maybe the acting wasn't at best in this film. And I don't know if Hayden, this was his first film or what, or this is just, sometimes films just don't get the good acting. But I felt like the scene with the mom, when he goes and rescues the mom, it felt like it wasn't that great of a scene until you see Hayden take the turn, become Darth Vader. And that was very unique. And let's just be honest, Natalie Portman, she looks fantastic, beautiful, sexy, powerful. Nowadays, they think that we want to see women just be powerful. No, we love women that are powerful. But we also understand, and just like men, women love to see men that are powerful and sexy. Men love to see women that are powerful and sexy. And for some reason nowadays, they forgot that. Or at least the message doesn't want to push that anymore. But Natalie Portman looks phenomenal in this film. And I'm sorry, Drunk 3PO. There's no way in hell, even though Natalie Portman looks fine as she could ever look, Episode 2 is not better than A New Hope. But I digress. Episode 3, I truly think this is, if not my favorite, my second favorite Star Wars film. And I get it. Some people are going to lose their mind when I say something like that. But just seeing the turn of Anakin Skywalker, just seeing Obi-Wan Kenobi, knowing that he was supposed to be the chosen one, and now he has to do everything in his power to make sure Anakin never becomes that, to the point of slashing him to pieces, pretty much. The introduction of the Clone Wars, Revenge of the Sith, is one of those films that I truly think, I could be wrong, but I feel like a lot of people hate it because they miss some parts. But I feel like Revenge of the Sith is one of the best Star Wars films out there. It gives you a lot of story into these characters. And no, we would not count Obi-Wan Kenobi season 1. We're not counting those because at the end of the day, those are Disney stuff and they do not align with the George Lucas stuff. Revenge of the Sith is just a phenomenal film. From the evil, from the good, from the acting. And I think Hayden improved a lot from the second one to the third one. And that shot of just Darth Vader after learning from what's his name, Palpatine, I believe that's how you say it, that supposedly Padme, I believe that's how you say it, dies, and just the power, and just you can see Palpatine just loving it. Just phenomenal. Wow, this is 10 minutes already into this video. So episode 4 was another phenomenal film. This is technically the way you're supposed to watch is episode 4. It's a phenomenal film. It's just incredible the way George Lucas is able to bring you in, tell you a story, tell you great characters, great female characters, overall a great cast. And I don't want to get in too much into the details because the video is already 10 minutes. Episode 2, I personally think episode 2 is a masterpiece. Empire Strikes Back gives you everything you want and more. It gives you Darth Vader, Palpatine. It gives you a little bit of everything. And I know Palpatine is not really in it that much, but the little things you get when Vader mentions Palpatine, I believe there's a scene where he's like, the Force is strong with him. And Palpatine, I think he's like, well, we got to get rid of him. And Darth Vader knows, like, no, we can't get rid of him. I know I can turn him. And Palpatine's like, well, he is the son of Anakin Skywalker. And, I mean, if you know by now, Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader. But I guess you can say he's kind of suppressed that. Like, he doesn't want to remember that, but he knows that's his son, right? Like, you get a feeling. And yeah, man, I love the way they set the trap, the fighting style. I mean, yeah, you can look at some of the new Star Wars and some of the fighting is a little bit better with the lightsabers, but just the way they did it back then, the way they knew how to use Darth Vader, they knew ways of how to make it very interesting. And I just think Empire Strikes Back is my favorite. Empire Strikes Back is a 10 out of 10. It's a masterpiece of a film. Then you get into Return of the Jedi, and Return of the Jedi is also another phenomenal film. You get the whole Boba Fett, you get Han Solo, you get Darth Vader, Palpatine. You get a lot of the missing ingredients, I guess you can say. Jabba the Hutt, Princess Leia in the sex slave outfit, which beautiful, man. Overall, Return of the Jedi is also another phenomenal film. I think it still lacks something. I don't know what, but it didn't felt like it was a masterpiece to Empire Strikes Back. But I watched all 6 of them, and like I said, there's no point of watching the sequels. Star Wars, I gotta say, even though I've watched all 6 of them, I still would not consider myself a big fan. I'm just a casual fan. I'm a fan of Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, Yoda. I really love the puppet Yoda. I hate the CGI one. It doesn't work for me. But the puppet one, oh my god, I love it. I love it so much. And I love that he's like this goofy guy, and it reminds me a lot of Dave Chappelle when he does the whole Yoda stuff. It's just phenomenal, man. At the end of the day, man, let me rank these films. Like I said, my number 1 Star Wars film is Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. My number 2 is Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. I know, I think that's gonna piss a lot of people off, but that's truly how I feel. My number 3 is Return of the Jedi, with number 4 being A New Hope, and number 5 being episode 2. I believe that's Attack of the Clones, if I'm correct, yeah. And number 6, episode 1, I believe that's the Clone Wars, if I'm correct. I could be wrong. I for some reason I'm forgetting the name of episode 1, but I believe it's the Clone Wars or something like that. But forget it. We'll just say episode 1. That is my list. That is my ranking of Star Wars, and that is my thoughts on the whole Star Wars theme. We're at 15 minutes, man. This is gonna be a long video. At the end of the day, I really enjoy Star Wars. I think it's a phenomenal stuff. I hate what they've done with Disney and George Lucasfilm nowadays, because the iconic Star Wars is dead. The woke Disney Lucasfilm Star Wars, or as some people like to say, shit Clown Wars, is pathetic and should be killed off and buried. Let me know what you guys think down below. What is your favorite Star Wars film? What do you think of my rankings? What is your rankings? And I'll catch you guys on the next one.
I just leveled up, I thank God. Straight from the